Welcome to the presentation on the assignment 3 for software and data engineering. Um, so this is basically for question 1, where we have to use the 3 services, which are compute engine, storage services, and the AI in an application and demonstrate their usage. So initially we have to create the Google platform account and create a project, which I have already created. In this project, we need to enable the billing account, uh, and the billing account is enabled. So once this billing is account is enabled, we need to also set a service account. By default, Google Compute Engine has a service account. So these are my service accounts which I have created as and per required. Um, One is for Google Translation API, which uses the cloud AI services of Google. The other is for Cloud SQL service. The other is for source repositories, which we will be covering later. So after setting all the roles for the particular project, for all the resources that I'm going to use, let's start with creating starting with the compute engine where a VM instance is created. I've already created the VM instance, so the VM instance is here. It's healthy, and we can connect to the VM instance by using this particular command. So this command, I have a list of commands which we can command. So later, in the cloud shell that we have connected, we can directly SSH into the VM instance and deploy the app there. So initially, uh, we will look into uh, we will SSH into the VM instance. And this is the command. So as you can see, my instance name is SDE83/1. So we have already we are into the machine, and I have already deployed my application here. And so let us run the application. I have just made a note of all the commands that are required. So we'll just create a virtual environment. Once the environment is created, uh, we have to do this install dot requirements. This has, as I've already tested the application, I have the requirement is already there in place. And now I'm connecting to the Cloud SQL uh, database. So these are my credentials for the Cloud SQL. I would like to show I have created in the Cloud SQL database based on an instance that is based on MySQL. And so the instance is here. I've created a database by name DB1. So this is the instance database created. So I'm using this database and the connection um, for this. In order to work this SQL, we need certain APIs to be enabled. All the APIs are listed here, which are listed for enabling the cloud SQL connection to the program has been enabled, and now we can directly go ahead and run our app. So I have used the AI services cloud translation API. So I would like to show the enabled APIs also. In the APIs, you can see these are my APIs which are enabled. So Cloud SQL Admin API is enabled and Cloud Translation API is enabled. This will demonstrate the usage of Cloud SQL or Google Storage Services, and this will demonstrate Cloud AI services, which makes use of natural language processing and machine translations. Mhm. So both these things have been used in the application, and I will demonstrate the working of the application. So we needed to create a separate service account for translation API and generate a key, and I have just exported the key to the environmental variable. Now let us run the application. My VM is having an external IP. So the port is 8080, so this I need to check this IP. So the port is 8080. Application should be up and running. There is an error, most probably. Okay, I need to set up the cloud proxy authorization. So let me for this the VM install connects via the proxy, Cloud SQL proxy, and hence there is an error to the connecting to MySQL. So let us say so the application is up and running, and as you can see, this demonstrates voting. So I'll just vote it here, and it has successfully inserted a record into the SQL database and the table called votes. So you can see the votes are even. Now if I vote for spaces again, so this is how the recent votes are tabulated here. That means there is a get method and the post method both working in the application based on Flask. Now I have integrated the Google Translate here by including a button so that it will translate the winning title. Spaces are winning by one vote. So I'm just clicking this. And as you can see, the translation is there in Hindi. So रिपिया एक वोट से जीत रही है. So the spaces, it's a translation of spaces are winning by one vote. So this demonstrates the question 1. Now let me take you to the load balancer part of question 2. So I had to use another account for this because during my experimentation, a number of VM instant groups were created and the limit was reached. The upper limit was reached, and I could not work in the same uh, account. So now in the other account, I have created. Let me show you. I created a source repository also, um, wherein we need to clone our code for So there is a source repository here, wherein the code can be cloned, and this this is my application folder, which is ready to be deployed to any VM instance. So when you're using the load balancer, we need to deploy the application instance to both the machines. So like we can do it via using these cloud repositories. Now let us go to the load balancer part. Now we need, once our source repository is ready, we need to create an instance template. And here I have created um an instance template. So this is my load balancer backend template, based on which I'm going to create the instance group. So the template contains a normal Debian based Linux machine. Um, and so the firewalls are off, since we are going to route it to the HTTP to the load balancer. Mm. So this is the here we can write the starter script that has to be. So whatever program we need to run, we have to run. I have made a I have made a I have made a sample demo here. However, the same application has to be the script has to be written here itself. So now, based on the instance, we need to create the instance group. So the instance group is created here, which automatically creates multiple instances, VM instances. So these are the two instances that have been created. For the load balancer. Once these instances are created, we can check the same in the VM instances also. So these two are my VM instances for the load balancer that I am demonstrating here is a HTTP load balancer. These two were initially experimented for networking load balancer via the TCP. Now we can just go to the load balancing part. We have to write a firewall rule for the particular thing. So in the firewall, we need to write a rule uh, for the load balancer. I have written a simple firewall rule, which for a health check, and also for the load balancer, both these things. So this is the ranges that I have given. Once the firewall rule is in place, we'll go to the load balancer. You can find load balancer under network services. So under network services and load balancing. So these two are, this is my HTTP load balancer. So this HTTP load balancer is the IP is given here. So we need to check the load balancer using this IP. We have written a small initial script over there. So we can just check. So this is the, as you can see, this is the page that is coming from this particular instance, WR71. And if you can just refresh it, Then you can see there is another page that is coming from W1DF. That means the application is being routed to two different VM instances, and hence this demonstrates the load balancer part, where application instances can be deployed onto two virtual machines and using the load balancer. However, the current application was not able to be deployed because we need to. There was a limit on the number of VM instances that can be created in a particular account. And for creating of the instance template, we need to, for deploying the application instance, what we need to do is we need to create an instance template. And in the instance template, in the startup script, we need to write the entire command which we usually execute for running the application. And that's how the application instance is deployed, and we can see the load balancer. And if you just refresh it, we can see that different pages are coming from different VM instances. So this ends the question number 2, demonstrating the load balancer and using a deployment of application instances to VMs using the load balancer. Thank you.